Hey everybody, welcome once again to another episode of What You Reading, where I tell you about things I've read. People seem to be real curious because I'm a professional writer. Um, what I read when I'm not writing, and I'm going to give you an example right now. I got this. Fantagraphics has been publishing in hardcover, reprinting the complete library of the fabulous Furry Freak Brothers, an underground comic that ran both comics sold in head shops, also ran in quote unquote underground student newspapers back in the late 60s, early 70s. It's a creation of Gilbert Shelton, and it's something that I you know was introduced to these characters back when I was in high school. One of the guys on the staff of the uh, school newspaper brought in a copy of a Freak Brothers comic. I'd never seen it before, and I was the staff cartoonist on our newspaper for 2 years running, and um, we all read the comic, and there was much giggling and laughter at the adventures of the fabulous Furry Freak Brothers, who are basically drug addicts living in 1960s San Francisco, and their main concern is getting more drugs above anything else, remaining as high as possible, as often as possible. And this leads to many, many hijinks. It's largely a anti-authoritarian statement, as much of the underground comics were. But and it was this particular volume, of course, Gilbert Shelton writing and drawing, but he is joined by inker Dave Sheridan, uh, who brings um, a more illustrative quality to Shelton's simple cartooning. Shelton was never much of an inker. you know, I sympathize because I can't ink to save my life. And bringing in Sheridan kind of solidified, made the strip sort of coalesce, made it look better, more consistent. Even though it's largely not. These guys weren't that concerned with consistency. Um, these adventures are largely 73 through 74. Uh, this was the Freak Brothers at the height of their popularity. They were in dozens and dozens of newspapers across the country. They were selling lots of T-shirts. They were selling lots of underground comics, and it was very, very popular. And it's the usual Freak Brothers stuff. They go down to Mexico. They got to get out of San Francisco for various reasons, like owing their landlord 5 months worth of rent. And they got to hightail it down to Mexico, where they get in the usual adventures people do get in Mexico, and some unusual ones like being thrown in prison. And, and it's all told with Gilbert Shelton's absurdist viewpoint of the world, and brisk pacing, and wry comment on society, which wasn't always necessarily political. He was more talking about the culture than he was politics. Clearly, he was a San Francisco liberal, even leftist leanings, probably more libertarian because he wanted, marijuana legalized. But what comes out of the work is more of an anti-authoritarian thing, which I think almost all of us can relate to. I was never a drug user. Certainly never a liberal or a leftist. I was a proud right-wing extremist when I was in high school. Uh, so, but I still found these things enjoyable because they did question authority, and I was all about questioning authority, as we all must be, as is our right in this country. The volume, which lovingly reproduced, really well packaged. Fantagraphics does an awesome job on these hardcovers. It also includes a lot of adventures of Fat Freddy's cat, and Fat Freddy's cat goes on his own journey, and is a terrific character. A talking cat who seems to have way more on the ball than the Freak Brothers themselves, and he's always there to comment on their foibles and faults and flaws. So if you've never met the Freak Brothers, this is not a bad introduction. It's later in the series, but Shelton is in each strip brings you right up to speed about who these characters are and what they're about. And I strongly suggest you check it out if you have any curiosity at all about underground comics from this period. This is one of the best. That's it for me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I will keep reading.